You were told to get that job. You were told to go to university. You were told to get that degree and get more education and do this and do that. And then somewhere along the line, you got to a point of thinking, do you know what? This just isn't for me. And I know that because I've been in your exact shoes. I went down the educational route. I got a degree. I did everything, and then I changed my mind and I went into entrepreneurship, and I started building and scaling and closing and launching and scaling again multiple companies in the last 12 years. I can genuinely promise you that there is no circumstance or situation that you've probably been in personally and professionally that I've not had experience in. And what I want to do today on this YouTube video is to talk through the biggest mindset shifts that I've basically had to scale to where I am right now in business. Because yeah, everything's in an absolutely incredible spot. I've got an incredible wife, an incredible daughter. I've got my 2 huskies, Jax and Nala, incredible friends, an amazing community. I've got all that, but wow, it's not always been like that. There's been some really tough times, and there's been some really big pivotal moments where I've had to evolve my mindset and evolve my leadership to become the person that I am today. And I want to share this openly on a YouTube video. So this is going to be the good, this is going to be the bad, this is going to be the ugly, but it's also the biggest lessons and breakthroughs that I've had to get to this point. I suffered badly with something called the underdog mentality. And I would say that it's only been in the last 3 years or so that I've overcome that type of mentality. So I didn't come from money in any way, shape or form. I have never had any type of investment or trust fund or savings pot or equity or anything given to me, right? Every single thing that I have built has been completely from the scratch, off my own back. But this underdog mentality carried with me for a very long time. And I know that it also slowed me down when I look back in hindsight now. So an underdog mentality is even when you are operating at a high level and you are starting to do great things and incredible things, you've still got this mentality where you are classifying yourself as an underdog. And what I used to do and what I used to basically got myself stuck in doing is, because I was an underdog, I was in the archetype of being a warrior. So I don't know if you've heard of the warriors and the kings and the queens and the jokers and the jesters and all that type of stuff. But I was basically operating from a warrior archetype at all times. So I was literally just hammering myself, putting myself under stress. I wasn't thinking in systems. I wasn't thinking in teams. I wasn't thinking in delegation. And I certainly wasn't thinking in leadership as well. Because there will come a certain point when you are scaling your company where leadership is actually the single most important thing that you need to focus on to get to that next level. If you are carrying an underdog mentality like I had for a very, very long time, it will do nothing other than slow you down, because you will actually be the bottleneck, thinking that you are a hero and you are a warrior, trying to do everything yourself. So when people at the moment come to me and they're saying like how they've not adopted to AI yet, or they've not really invested much into it, I find it absolutely mind-blowing, because you can skip a big part of the leadership gap and leadership problem by using these AI tools while you can still be the sole operator of your company, right? But even with AI tools, like, so for example, I'm investing multi-5 figures a month into artificial intelligence. I have to have a team and I have to have leadership, because I've got AI developers, I've got AI consultants who need to then consult with my own higher management and middle management team. So you need to understand that leadership is important, and you can't step into the next phase of growth with your company while you are holding on to a underdog mentality. That is something that slowed me down for a very, very long time. You need to understand that an underdog is just someone who doesn't feel like they are actually good enough yet, right? That is basically what I was. I was achieving massive, incredible things, but I still felt like I had something to prove, because I was off a council estate, because I am working class, because I'm not the same as other people. And you can't operate like that. You are different, you are unique. But in order to step into a higher performance level in your life and your company, you need to let go of that old version of yourself and step into the new version. And that's the new version that I am now. I no longer class myself as an underdog anymore. I class myself as a leader in the industry that I'm in, and now an open industry, because I'm very confident that I can support every business out there. But I'd have never got to where I am right now if I'd have held on to that underdog mentality. The next problem that I suffered quite severely with was performance anxiety. And after a lot of work, I basically isolated that my performance anxiety was actually prevalent and around since I was an early teenager. So I played high-level professional rugby league for the majority of my life, from 12 years old until I was 21, 22. And I remember when I used to go onto the rugby field and I would basically pick the skin in my hands. And I remember looking back at these pictures of myself when I was really studying my own psychology. And I was like, I had anxiety then. I basically pinpointed that my performance anxiety actually started from sport and it started to come into my business. And what performance anxiety is, guys, is basically where you are over analyzing and overly critical of yourself. I could go onto a rugby field and have the best game ever, win man of the match, score loads of tries, do some big hits when you're allowed to shoulder charge back in the day, and I'd still come off that field thinking that I wasn't good enough, right? And then for me, that made me go a little bit deeper as to why I was actually like that, potentially what my childhood was like, and I didn't get the type of attention that I needed. I don't know, that's a different YouTube video altogether. But performance anxiety was something that I really struggled with when I started to hit higher level in business, because what you need to understand is that you cannot be everybody's cup of tea, right? I've literally got it up on my screen there, right? And that's my actual to-do list. 72% of my week is spent on fulfillment. So 72% of my week is focused on my one-to-one clients, the Propel clients, the Smart Scaling clients, and updates for our community and servicing and delivering to other people. And even though I put that much time and attention into that, and I've always done that for the last 12 years, because it's not like I've gone viral on YouTube yet, it's not like I've gone viral on Instagram yet, I had to deliver. But I created this hole for myself where even when I was performing at a seriously high level, whenever one little tiny pebble come up where something had not gone right, I would take that on heavily personally myself. And I'm teaching you this because you can't do that, right? What you need to do is you need to understand that who you are personally is separate to who you are professionally. Your personal identity and who you are when you are not sat at that desk and you are not with your team and you are not with your clients, right, is not the same as who you are with your personal life and your professional life. And it goes both ways. Who you are professionally shouldn't also be coming into your personal life either. So for me, I make sure that, look, I'm always transparent. I'm speaking to you right now from my normal common Yorkshire council house tongue. I'm not trying to sugarcoat what I'm saying in any way, shape or form. But I do separate the two. When I'm at home, I'm a husband. When I'm at home, I'm a dad. When I'm with my friends, I'm a friend, right? And I make sure that I've got a clear divide between the two. The same as when I'm at work, I'm not acting the same as what I would do with my family and with my friends. So for me, performance anxiety has been supported with that to make sure that when something hasn't gone right in business, and even though I will always take a lot of ownership and I will always dig myself out before anyone else, and I'll always throw myself under the bus before someone else. That is my version of leadership. I don't believe in hierarchy. But at the same time is I don't punish myself anymore. That's the problem that I used to have, is I used to sit and I used to punish myself for when things had not gone right, or if I'd done something wrong, or if there was some kind of client complaint. And eventually, after working with thousands of people, thousands of clients, thousands of business owners at this point, you just need to understand that sometimes you're just not the right cup of tea for someone. And that's why I'm so authentic and transparent on YouTube and on email and on social media now, because I would rather have someone to come in and have a clear expectation and understanding to actually who the fuck I am as a person, right? You either like it or you don't. Whereas before, with performance anxiety, I was constantly trying to please people. I was constantly trying to put everyone else first. And if you want to scale your company, you cannot hold on to performance anxiety. You need to find whatever works for you. For me, it was separating my identity personally and professionally, but still being the same person, but making sure they didn't cross over. And that was the biggest breakthrough that I had. And it's so important because I would say that performance anxiety is one of the biggest number one problems that I see within service providers, content coaches, content creators, consultants, and everyone in general. The next problem that I experienced from that point was almost a combination of both the underdog mentality and performance anxiety. And that was basically me having the mindset that the more that I worked, the more that I got out of it. Does that work to an extent? Yes, 100%. Do I still work very long weeks now and do a lot? Yeah, but I'm doing 1,000 times, it's literally on my screen over there. I have done something like 1,560 outputs within 21 days on code. And I've got developers and consultants who are doing probably 10 times what I am as well. So my efficiency at work now is like nothing that I've never seen before. But I used to have a mindset that the only way that I could scale my company was for me to do more hours. right? That is not how this works in any way, shape or form, right? I've got a team of 13 now. I've had a team of 27 before in my past, which was too much. But you need to strike a balance and understand that if you want to scale, the main objective that you need to do is you need to buy time back, right? If you buy time back, you can focus on higher ROI activities. So for example, me doing these YouTube videos right now, rather than having to mess around doing loads of admin stuff, I've got administration assistants, I've got executive assistants, I've got content creators and distributors and editors. I've got a client success director, a sales director, a COO. I've got success managers and coaches. Like, these people enabled me to now stay in my genius zone. And you may be a business owner at the moment and thinking, well, I can't afford that. My argument will be you probably can, right? So the first move that I would be making is, if I was feeling like I was overstretched and I wasn't doing enough, is it would be 100% adopting to artificial intelligence as fast as humanly possible. And yes, you can set high-level systems up with coding and terminal, with N8N and Zapier and whatever else to do your admin tasks and stuff for you. But for me, like, it still always needs that human intuition. So if you're at a spot now and you're struggling to scale, I can genuinely promise you it's because you are not putting your time and energy as an expert into the actual places that will drive the business forwards. I can promise you that 9 times out of 10, that is the number one reason that someone isn't scaling in a business, is because they are not doing high value, high ROI activities and thinking processes. So you can pick up a personal assistant with certain companies. So for example, my personal assistant, executive assistant team, like, these guys are in the Philippines, they're in India, right? It might cost you £500 a month for someone to save you 20 hours per week in terms of admin. So if you're doing £2,500 a month, what is 500 quid for you to then get that back, all that time back to focus on high value activities? It's the same as if you're at 150 to 250,000 pound a month, you might have to spend 70 to 80,000 of that annually in order to pay an operations manager so they can manage all of the things that's happening underneath. So you can then go back into the growth mode of focusing on where the company is going. But for me, right, that was a problem that I had because I held on to manual workload and chaos for a very, very, very long time, right? My childhood and my upbringing was very chaotic, and I feel like I was basically stuck in that type of mode, and I had to force myself over the years to understand the importance of delegation, understand the importance of buying time back, and understand the importance of getting to a point where I can give people the right type of playbooks and the right type of skills so I can get them executing at high level while I can still focus on what I do. So if that sounds like you at the moment, then the first thing that you need to do is you need to get straight into AI to buy this time back as well. If you're still feeling like you're not on top of stuff from that point, that's when you need to be looking at content editors and personal assistants and appointment setters, or a sales closer or a sales manager or a general manager, whatever it is, right? You are more than likely 9 times out of 10 the actual problem in the business because you are bottlenecked. And that's why I'm so heavy on AI, because it removes that bottleneck element. The next problem, and I don't think that this has actually been a problem for me, I designed my life at 15 years old. So genuinely, at 15 years old, I went to Uganda and it changed my life. I was not in a good place in life. I was not in a good place inside of my head. I didn't feel good, and I went on this trip and I volunteered in a school, and I basically just saw the quality of these guys' lives in Africa, and I connected with them. I gave away all of my clothes, everything that I'd got, and I come back from that trip and I just basically, I was like, I am changing my life. No matter what I have to do, no matter how hard I have to work, which probably definitely created the negative work-life relationship. Yeah, fuck that. I didn't have that for a long time. But it also enabled me to get to where I am now. But for me, thinking in years is so important. So the reason that I just went off on that tangent there is I designed my entire life at 15, and I'm literally 2 months away from completing that dream. So I knew that I wanted to have a wife. I wanted to have 2 dogs called Jackson Nala, 2 huskies. I wanted to have kids. I wanted to have a defender, which I've got. I wanted to be able to climb mountains. I wanted to be able to go on multiple holidays. I wanted my own team. I wanted to be educating myself and growing. So I've done all that. The only thing that I've not done is buy my forever home, which is literally going ahead at the moment, and we're moving into that in June. But the next thing for that is also getting to a point of traveling, and I've done all that as well. So what I mean by this is you need to set your vision and design every single detail of it. What car do you want to drive? What does your house look like? Where do you want to live? Who do you want to be? What type of friends that do you want to have? What hobbies are you going to do? Where are you going to spend your time? What do you want to see in the world? Like, for me, like, thinking in years comes down to vision, because when people just think in weeks, all you are ever thinking about is the problems that you are going through in that short micro perspective. Whereas if you start looking at things from a long-term macro perspective, the problems that you experience in the next few weeks aren't even that deep. Like, it's not really, it really isn't, is it? Because you're working to something which is on a much grander scheme and a much greater level to where you are right now. And I think that when you start thinking in years, you start making moves in years. You stop thinking about the quick surface level bullshit, what's probably just going to cause more harm than good. You start thinking about, right, well, I just need to survive this little area now to then get to that next point. So for me, it's like the last 4 weeks, I have onboarded 4 different teams all at once, right? I've onboarded 4 different teams all at once. It has been absolutely horrific. If I was thinking in weeks, all I would be thinking is, oh my God, like, this is not worth it. This feels horrible. I were in the office at 11:30 p.m. on Friday night getting everyone set up. But when I'm thinking in years, I know that I can't actually scale to the next point of where I want in life, in business. And I will never be able to have the life that I want if I don't have these new teams in place. So thinking in years is where you are not only designing your life and designing your vision, but you're constantly making moves that are so far ahead, right? I can honestly promise you, the long-term visions and plans that I have for my company, people would not even be able to comprehend the level of specificity and goal setting and structure down to the detail that I've already self-designed. Then all I do from that point is I know my target, I know my objective, I track back from that, and I do anything and whatever is needed to get to that point. It's as simple as that. What you need to understand right now as well is that impossible is now possible. Genuinely, like, everything that was impossible a few years ago, or even a few months ago, in fact, right, is now possible with AI. In any AI system. Doesn't have to be Claude. You know that I'm all in on Claude, and I have been for the last year before it was cool. But anything is possible now. And one thing that I try and teach people is you need to live in a place of impossibility. That is where the best things come forward. That is where the best systems happen. Like, when you wake up in the morning, and I literally enforce this now with my own team and myself. Whenever I'm presenting a new idea forwards, if it's too simple now, we don't do it. I want to be asking myself questions and asking my community questions and pushing them into a place of impossibility. Impossibility for you might be the fact that you're not confident enough to get to that next bracket financially, or to hire that first team member, or you're always going to be doing this and you're always going to be doing that. I had a call with a client yesterday who was a really high performance business owner, right? And he's doing well. And I was like, you need to hire more staff, you need to hire more teams. Oh, I can't because it's easier for me to do it, right? He classifies that as impossible. I was like, no, it's just how you are framing it. When you want to push in this next era, especially with adopting to AI, when you have the mindset where you are operating from a place of impossibility before anything else, you will be able to do things that you wouldn't even be able to comprehend. But you need to live in that space. Imagine that possible is like down here, right? Possible is like a little bit of a middle ground, right? And a lot of people at the moment, they're still just living down here, like they're sitting in this comfort zone of possibility because they've not crossed that bridge to see what is possible now with AI. Once you cross that bridge, you live in that shit. I live up here now. I only do and only focus on impossibility. Like, if something's too easy, we don't fucking do it. It's as simple as that. Every single operation, every single new project, every single thing has to be something that I would have never ever been able to do before. And we're constantly asking that question as to, right, well, what AI system can do this? What tool do we need? How do we do this faster? How can we do X? And having the mindset now to live in a place of impossibility is so important. And again, that's something that I think that I had a lot of limiting beliefs on in my early 20s, especially because I never thought that I'd be where I am at right now in business. And I probably even now, part of me thinks I'm not going to be where I want to be by the time I'm 40. I'm 31 now. So you need to live in that place of impossibility. And part of that comes down to dropping that underdog mentality, dropping the performance anxiety, dropping thinking in weeks and start thinking in years. And like, this is a combination of like all the different kind of key points that I've actually hit within this video. But genuinely, like, if you are not waking up in the morning and you're excited about the chance to do something that you've never not been able to do before, then that's the problem, because now you've got these AI tools that can literally do everything for you. If you have got a vision for it and you've got creativity for it, you can do it. It's as simple as that. So coming towards the back end of this video now, I just want you to think about those. I could come out with God knows how many other different mindset, leadership, management, self-reflection or self-growth activities that I've been through in the last 12 years, but they would be my top ones, right? And what I want you to do is I want you to start actioning it. I want you to start thinking about it, right? I've obviously listed out what mine have been with like the underdog mentality and performance anxiety and thinking in years and not weeks, or for example, thinking it's easier to do it myself rather than hiring and just doing more work and more output. Like, they've been things that have really slowed me down. I want you to now be really self-critical, and I want you to audit yourself and get down on a pen and paper and write down genuinely, right, these are all the areas that I am letting myself down. That is the question that you have to ask yourself. I am letting myself down in these areas, that's why I am not scaling. And because I'm letting myself down, I'm going to let these people down. My parents, my family, my friends, my clients, my community, my audience. Right? For me, I don't care about the amount of pain and suffering that I have to go through. Like, I will take on any amount of pain. Like, I actually thrive in pain, which is probably another fucking discussion for another YouTube video. But I don't thrive in the pain of letting other people down. That is the thing that makes me always grow, always become better, because I am not letting my wife down. I am not letting my daughter down. I'm not letting my friends down. I'm not letting my community down. I'm not letting my clients down. And hopefully I'm not letting you guys down when I'm doing these type of videos and I'm talking about this. So if you can't do this for yourself, then find a way to do it for other people. And this is what I mean with the coach consultant. And I've said this on many other videos before. This is not the same as anything that you'll find elsewhere. People aren't doing videos like this elsewhere, and there's a reason for that, because other people aren't operating like I do, and they aren't operating like we do. I'm not bothered about showing you the most perfect element and perfect this and perfect that, because that's not how life business, that's not how life everything works. Like, there's no such thing as perfection. There's no such thing as the perfect this and perfect that. It's about being in the right place to grow. It's about having the right type of support network. It's about having the right type of proven systems. So anything with AI, anything with acquisition, anything with sales, I can teach you all of this in seconds. But the thing that I can teach you and create awareness on is mindset. But the real breakthrough, right, that has to come from you. And I really hope that this YouTube video has helped today. I have genuinely really enjoyed actually doing it. I think I'm gonna do more videos on mindset and leadership. To be fair, if you've actually enjoyed this, I'd really appreciate it. Let me know in the comments if you've actually watched it until the end. You know where we're at, you know what we do, personal branding, AI, systems, you can copy and paste them, do all of that. And I really hope to see you on the next few videos, and I've got some really great episodes now coming out. And if you want to find out more about the coach consultant, hit my description. There's loads of links on there. There's free assessments, there's a mastermind presentation, there are tools for Claude AI, there's information on my entire website, me, my programs, everything else, and there's also booking a call, and I hope that you do. See you next time.